Welcome back to your mum ranting about things. Welcome back to Talk Horror to Me, and today we're going to talk some horror. I have stuff to do today, and that stuff might include going downstairs, sitting on the sofa, and rewatching a bunch of Black Mirror episodes. But I figured I'd come and catch up with my kids real quick. Today we're going to be discussing some of my more unpopular opinions about the horror genre. You know the drill. We're going to do our makeup, or you can just chill if you're not going to do your makeup with me, that's fine. And we'll have a little chat about some of the opinions that I have, and I don't think a bunch of other people might agree with. If you do share any of these opinions with me, like the video and let me know. Drop it in the comments below so I don't feel like a complete weirdo on my own channel. I don't want to feel like an outcast, you know. We're a family here. We support each other. Now go do your chores and then come sit with your mum while she rants about stuff. All right, let's get into it. Right, okay, so the first one, and I know this is going to be so horrendously unpopular. I hate The Witch.
The Witch is a 2015 period supernatural horror, starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Ineson. I think it's boring and overrated.
You know, The Witch? Okay, this one absolutely baffles me because it is so well reviewed and it's so, like, it's regarded in this community as one of, like, the best modern suspense thriller horror type of films. And I just don't agree. Like, I don't even slightly agree. I watched it with my dad a few years back now. We were looking for a good horror film to watch because me and my dad both love a good horror film. We sat through this. When I was looking back to research more about this film that I maybe didn't remember, I didn't realise this film was only 90 minutes. I remember it feeling like it was a fucking 3-hour epic because it was so boring. I cannot express how bored we both were the whole way through, and we turned off at the end and went, oh, what a waste of our evening, wow. And when I've watched other people review this movie and they say that, oh, well, the people who don't enjoy this movie they're just not clever enough to understand it. I resent that. Honestly, every film reviewer that I saw speaking about this had to put the little disclaimer saying, look, if you don't like this film, it's because you're stupid. I feel like if it was a good film, you wouldn't have to put that fucking disclaimer in it all the time. Like, well, if you don't like it, you're dumb. Like, if it was good, it would just be good. You wouldn't have to defend it. And I resented that. I'm like a deep thinker with a good, capable brain. I am. But I'm sorry, the bad English accent from Anya Taylor-Joy paired with the extensive Old English dialect, and I know that that's historically accurate and I'm not saying that it's wrong that they did that, but everything paired with the fact that it has such a slow burn feeling behind it made me so bored. And because I was so bored, I didn't give a shit about the narrative that was going on because it hadn't gripped me. Nothing fucking happened. And it's not that this isn't my subgenre of horror films. I really like suspenseful films. I loved The Blair Witch, the sugar daddy of all suspense films. I like the Paranormal Activity films when they were good. And it's not even like an A24 thing. I love St. Maud that came out recently. That's a great film. So it's not that this isn't my type of movie within the horror genre. It's just the fact that it's this film. There was a review that I resonated with, and it was by New York Daily News. And they said the thing they were most critical of was A24's decision to market this in the way they did. And I wanted to look back and see like what they meant about that. I don't think I was in the country when this film first came out, so I didn't see a lot of the targeted media around it. So I went back to look at the trailer. Honestly, the trailer was not the film that I fucking saw. When I rewatched the trailer, I got very Woman in Black vibes, which is a terrifying suspense horror because of the amount of jump scares that I think are well executed and the amount of content that does actually happen versus what The Witch is. Sorry, it is a misleading trailer. It's not a terrifying horror film. It's not. There's nothing scary happens. You just think it's going to, and it isn't executed like it is in the Blair Witch Project where it's innately relatable. You can imagine being in that same situation. You can imagine getting lost in the woods and being terrified because you don't know the way out and feeling that there's someone around you, because that's how you would feel in the solitary confinement of being on your own in a woods. No one relates to the Old English folklore around witchcraft. Sorry, we don't. So marketing it that way is probably another big thing that pissed a lot of people off, because I remember when I watched Woman in Black for the first time and you were just gripped the whole way through because of the marketing that you saw before and because of the atmosphere that was created when you were watching the film. Whereas for 85% of this film's 93-minute runtime, I was just translating Old English in my head. I didn't have fun. And I know a lot of the time watching films like this isn't supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be unsettling and they're supposed to make you be on the edge of your seat. And I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I was bored. I was bored and pissed off. I feel like I'm going to probably do my makeup really boring today because my hair is just compensating for everything. Oh yeah, let's address that. Yeah, look what happened to my hair. Well, I bleached out the pink, which I don't think anyone even saw on this channel. So let's address this poor man's attempt at being Takeshi 6ix9ine. I don't know, felt like it. No. There was a lot of old colours left in my hair. There was a lot of old blue and old green, which is notoriously a bitch to shift. I had bleached all of that out, and to be honest, my hair is it's not doing so well right now. The bits that didn't fall out are very dry. It's the top is generally fine because I do look after my hair, but the bits where I had to double bleach to get out the blue and green, oh, they're not happy. My hair takes so long to dry at the moment. I've noticed this when you have damaged hair. If you put it up in a ponytail for all of 2 seconds, there will be a definite kink in your hair. Whereas beforehand, like when your hair's healthy and it's luscious and it has a lot of movement, it takes like a while to develop that kink in a hair bubble. But nope, I put my hair up for 5 seconds and then took it out again to change it and it was already fucking kinked. So I'm gonna have to leave this one alone for a while. Although I said that last time, so we'll see if I actually do that. I don't think I will. I'm impulsive, and also I don't learn by like people telling me, oh, like don't bleach your hair so much, it's gonna fall out. I learn by my hair actually falling out, which hasn't happened yet. So, click to my next video, why I'm now bald. I just wanted to confess that I really do not vibe with the acclaim that goes along with The Witch. I don't get it. If you do get it, that's great, but I just don't like it. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna catch so much flack for this because everyone's just gonna call me a fake horror fan and I have no idea what I'm talking about, but hear me out. It's not as bad as I'm gonna make it sound at the beginning. In some occasions, I kind of tend to prefer the remakes of 80s slashers and 80s horror versus the originals. Now hear me out. This isn't me saying that I don't like the originals or that I think the new ones are of better quality overall than the originals. What I'm saying is I tend to prefer the watch of the remakes. That isn't in all occasions, that isn't across all films and all subgenres. It's just a pattern I've noticed with certain films I've rewatched recently. I'm going to give you some prime examples of what I mean. First of all, let's look at the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I just looked at the Rotten Tomatoes rating and honestly, maybe I am just a dumbass. So, I'm not saying I don't like watching the original Nightmare on Elm Street because that's just a lie. I absolutely love the original. I love Robert Englund and I love his portrayal of, I was going to say Freddie Mercury. I love his portrayal of Freddy Krueger, I really do. I think obviously it's his character that he created. When it comes to the franchise as a whole and the depths of Freddy Krueger's crime, I guess it aligns with me better when he is portrayed a little bit more straight-laced. Because in the original, Freddy Krueger's crimes are alluded to and not explicitly said. In the remake in 2010, when it's out and out said that he's a full-blown nonce, it's more fitting. I feel like Jackie Earle Haley's portrayal and of what he did fit more with the overall narrative. And that's just why I preferred The Watch. I also think I'm holding some comparisons to other remakes and how bad the acting is in like the Friday the 13th remake, in the Rob Zombie Halloweens. I don't like the acting there. I don't think that's an uncommon opinion. In this remake of Nightmare on Elm Street with Rooney Mara, Kyle Gallner and Kate Cassidy, I think they all do a really good job. Eyelash glue, this is not the time to take a fucking vacation. Anyway, I think they are, I don't know, fucking Oscar worthy compared to some of the other remakes. I don't know, that shouldn't be the reason why I prefer the film. But it just is. The acting in the original, and this is really bad because I really dig her as a person. I think she's a really cool person. For later films in the franchise, I think her performance is much more suited, but I really don't fucking like Heather Langenkamp in this original. She's just so over the top. I don't think it pairs well with the likes of like Johnny Depp. Oh, speaking of Johnny Depp, I'm going to put the link to the petition to have Amber Heard removed from Aquaman 2 because we don't like to enable abusers on this channel to continue abusing people whilst the victim is punished. There's that petition in the description below. But let's look at another example. This is moving away from slashers. Let's go for like late 70s paranormal horror. Let's take Amityville Horror. Now that film came out in 1979 based on the events of the Lutzes in the DeFeo house, and then the remake starring Ryan Reynolds came out in 2005. They're both like terribly reviewed, sitting around the 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, both of them. So neither of them are good, but I definitely preferred the watch of the 2005 version. When it comes to cases of like paranormal activities and hauntings and stuff like that, I feel like you really need to be good at what you do to portray the events of the haunting if you can't show them. They wouldn't have had the ability to do that in 1979. Everything had to be heard and not seen, you know, like with off-screen jump scares and noises that come from just behind the camera. They tried, they gave it a good shot, but it just looks like I did it in MS Paint. And that's not even possible. Whereas, you know, in 2005, where the effects have come on and it's like a whole new era of movies, I obviously enjoyed the watch a lot more. By 2005 standards, what that film achieved is just millennia ahead of what the 1979 original would have been able to achieve. And that's just time, and that's just how things are. With slashers, it comes a lot easier because practical effects are just dope. Being able to do what certain slasher films did in the 80s is impressive, and they just fake it out in the modern day with CGI, and it just reeks of laziness, you know. When it comes to slasher films, that's not the reason why I prefer the newer ones. Practical effects still do the job. But when it comes to paranormal things and hauntings like this, they couldn't really fake it till they made it in 79, you know? There was a touch of controversy with the 2005 remake because George Lutz, the real life George Lutz, hated the 2005 film, called it drivel, which doesn't make any sense. If you know the story of the Amityville hauntings and the Amityville horror, like the real life story, I don't get why George Lutz is so pressed because it was all fake anyway. But he was suing the production company at the time that he unfortunately died in 2006. So he was hella pressed that that film even got made. I kind of want to do an entire video about the Amityville hauntings and the franchise as a whole and where it came from and what it has become in pop culture and everything like that, because I definitely grew up thinking that it was real. Did anyone else think that? I watched this film probably right as it came out in 2005, probably got the DVD when it was released, because I remember watching it at like sleepovers with my gal pals, because I'm a psycho, and they'd be like, Emily's coming around, so we have to watch at least one horror film or she'll cry and go home. So if you do want a deep dive where we talk about the Lutzes, the DeFeos, and the whole event of the Amityville haunting and the Amityville horror films, let me know in the comments below and we can have a full-on deep dive, because I think that'll be a fun video. Half the time, I don't enjoy things because they're good. I enjoy things because they're fucking funny. I would happily give Birdemic an 100% approval rating. I watched the remake of Prom Night recently and I audibly belly laughed throughout the entire thing because of the stupid decisions every single character made. I watch films for a good time. Whether that's because of stupidity or because it's a masterpiece is by the by for me. Hey. Moving on. Another thing that's gonna make y'all question the shit out of my taste. I love The Village. Shall I go now? I really love The Village. One of my favorite films in that kind of slow burn kind of horror is The Village. Not The Witch, no, but I fucking love The Village. So this film hit cinemas in 2004, and I went to the cinema to see this on my 10th birthday, because it was rated 12A. For all you people not in the UK, that is basically PG-13. We had an adult with us, so me and all my 10-year-old cronies for Emily's B-Day bash went to the cinema to see The Village. And whilst I'm having the best time ever, all the other bitches I invited are absolutely shitting themselves. Like little bitches. Clearly I was gonna be a horror nut from a very young age. My parents obviously didn't discourage it, which I appreciate them for. And after that fateful day, as soon as the DVD was released weeks later, because we had to wait for the physical copies of media to be released back in those days, I was obsessed. It was the first thing of its kind that I had seen. The only thing I had seen prior was probably that videotape of The Ring that my brother had fucking forced upon me. Check out my childhood traumas video for any other thing that shaped me into the anxious adult that I am. It probably had to do with the fact that this was actually the first horror film I was ever able to watch in the cinema because of its 12A rating. I was able to go before I even hit 12. And think about it, when you're 10, you finally get to go and see see a horror film in the cinema, you almost feel a little sense of like maturity, like, oh wow, I'm old enough to do this now. So the film probably holds a bit of weight for me in that respect. It was a big part of my formative years in deciding what kind of media that I like to consume. Also, Joaquin Phoenix in it. He is pure daddy energy. 100 legit vegan daddy energy. Fucking hell! I've just been like on the Wikipedia page for The Village just to like double check some things. And I didn't realise that fucking lead girl is Bryce Dallas Howard. I was literally talking about how much I fucking love her yesterday. Nosedive is one of my favourite Black Mirror episodes, and she's fucking brilliant in that, and she's fucking brilliant in every other thing I've fucking seen her in. I didn't realise she was, of course it's her! I feel like when you've just watched things years ago and you still see those actresses and actors nowadays, you just forget that that's what they looked like 15 years ago. And also, another point of why The Village is so good, those of who we do not speak are terrifying! Like, you cannot look at that shit and say that it's not scary. And imagine being 10, and remember, this got a 12A rating. The average age of people who were going to see this film would have gone significantly down. I actually can't believe it was rated a 12A. I can't believe The Woman in Black was rated a 12A as well. We're here to traumatize our kids and sell tickets. I still haven't got a new powder. This is the one that makes your intestines taste like peach. Plus, I think they presented a very ominous atmosphere throughout this film. You didn't even like speak of them by name. That's how terrified everyone was of the creatures. And I think it translates pretty well to the audience because we had no idea what they were. It took a while before you even saw these creatures, so you were just in fear of, well, what the fuck's going on? People are disappearing because of these things. What are they? And you had that really cool leitmotif of noise that would follow them around every time they were like on the prowl. I mean, this film was nominated for an Oscar and it was for sound design or best original score and something music related. So clearly they knew what they were doing. I have rewatched this film recently and I don't feel any differently about it. I thought that maybe it was just a nostalgia trip that I liked this film, or at least I think I like this film because I liked it when I was young and I didn't know any better. But no, I've rewatched it and I don't know what you hoes are talking about. I still like it. Like, I know it's an M. Night film and that just holds bad juju anyway. And this was approaching the notorious time where he started to make his bad films, but I just don't see it. I just don't see that this is the descent into what eventually became The Happening and The Last Airbender. It's not like that, dude. People were like disappointed about the twist at the end. The twists in his better films were a bit more like legendary, you know, but I don't see that this is a twist that falls flat to me. I'm not sure what else people wanted, you know? Did they want the creatures to be real? Because I think it's a little bit more scary that it was just a human man. Surely that's more scary than if the creatures were real, because it's not realistic. That doesn't creep anyone out. And the fact that it's set in modern day, what was bad about that? Everyone was like, oh, the twist was so shit. Was it? I thought it was cool. But that's just me, maybe. Roger Ebert was hella pressed about this film. Not only did he give it a 1-star review, but also listed it as the 10th worst film of 2004 and put it on his most hated list. It's not that deep, Roger. It's not that deep. Oh, that was good. Oh, yes. Today is gonna be a good day.
Catfish mode enabled.
Oh, I do love a rant, kids, and I hope you love a rant too. Please, if you have any other unpopular opinions along this same wavelength, drop them in the comments below. We'll all discuss them if we agree, if we disagree. We'll keep it respectful and keep it clean, because we're nice people. Most of the time. Please take a look in the description box. There's a bunch of links to petitions to sign, causes to donate to, as well as all my other socials, so my TikTok, my Instagram, all that good stuff. Don't forget to like the video if you made it this far. Ew, ghosts. Please make sure you are subscribed as well with the notifications set to all so that you know exactly when your mum uploads. But that's it for me today, kids, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back.